Rain poured mercilessly over the dark streets of Milan. People rushed by with umbrellas, their eyes averted from the small, shivering figure sitting beside a lamppost. She clutched a torn blanket, soaked and heavy, her trembling hands holding a piece of stale bread she'd been saving since morning. Then headlights cut through the rain. A sleek black car screeched to a halt nearby. A man stumbled out, blood dripping from his side, his suit torn, his face cold as death itself. The girl's heart raced. She should have run. Everyone knew who he was. The ruthless mafia boss, Luca Moretti. The man everyone feared. But instead of running, she dragged herself toward him, whispering through her chattering teeth. "Sir, you're bleeding. Please, let me help you." In that moment, one act of compassion from a girl who had nothing began a story that would change both their lives forever. Sophia hadn't always been homeless. 2 years ago, she had a home that smelled of her mother's baking and laughter that echoed in every corner. But after a car crash took both her parents, she was left alone at 16, no relatives, no support, and nowhere to go. She learned quickly how cruel the world could be. People looked through her, not at her. Every night, she slept beneath the same flickering streetlight, whispering her mother's lullabies to herself just to keep from breaking. That night, as thunder rolled and the rain drowned the city, she saw the black car crash near the alleyway. She recognized him instantly. Luca Moretti, the man whose name made even policemen nervous. Rumors said he'd built an empire on blood and betrayal. But as she watched him collapse beside the car, bleeding and gasping, she didn't see a monster. She saw a man dying alone, the same way she'd watched her parents fade away. Her instincts screamed to run. Instead, she tore off the only dry piece of her blanket and pressed it to his wound. "Stay awake, please," she whispered. Luca looked at her with half-lidded eyes, confusion, pain, disbelief. "Why are you helping me?" "Because someone has to," she said softly. She dragged him into an abandoned storeroom nearby. With shaking hands, she lit a small fire, used her little water bottle to clean his wound, and tore her sleeves to make bandages. For hours, she cared for him in silence, afraid every sound might be the last breath he took. By dawn, his breathing steadied. He opened his eyes to see the girl, ragged, pale, exhausted, sitting beside him, asleep against the wall. For the first time in years, Luca Moretti felt something strange in his chest, warmth. When Luca regained his strength, he asked his men to find her again. She was still sitting under the same lamppost, holding a piece of bread. He approached her, his usual steel-cold expression hiding behind sunglasses. "You saved my life," he said. Sophia shrugged shyly. "Anyone would have." He smirked. "You don't know people well, do you?" He offered her money, a thick envelope, more than she could imagine. She shook her head. "I didn't do it for that. I just didn't want you to die." Luca was stunned. In his world, kindness didn't exist without a price. That night, he couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in his mind. He'd built his empire by crushing those weaker than him, convinced the world had no mercy. Yet this girl, broken, hungry, forgotten, had shown him more humanity than anyone in his circle ever had. The next morning, he returned. "You're coming with me," he said. Sophia hesitated, but something in his tone wasn't threatening. It sounded protective. He gave her a room in his mansion, clothes, and food. She stared at the feast on the table and whispered, "I haven't eaten like this since my parents were alive." Luca's chest tightened. He realized this girl, with nothing to her name, had given him something priceless, a second chance at being human. Weeks passed. She smiled more. He found himself watching her from afar, noticing how she talked to the maids, how she shared her desserts with the guards, how she brought light into every corner of the dark empire he had built. For the first time, he questioned everything, his choices, his power, his soul. Months later, Sophia discovered the truth. Luca's enemies had kidnapped an orphanage of children to blackmail him. Without thinking, she slipped out of the mansion and went to free them. When Luca learned she was gone, panic consumed him. The ruthless man the world feared now trembled at the thought of losing one fragile, selfless girl. He found her standing in front of the children, shielding them from armed men. "Let them go," she screamed, shaking but unbroken. The sight broke something inside him. He fought like a man possessed, taking bullets and blows, protecting her with his life. When it was over, and the children were safe, Luca collapsed beside her. Why would you risk your life for them? He gasped. Sophia smiled weakly, tears mixing with the dust on her face. Because someone once showed me. Even the broken can save someone. Her words struck his soul like thunder. He realized she wasn't saving others because she was strong. She did it because kindness was her way of surviving. From that day on, Luca disbanded his empire. The weapons, the money, the power, all gone. He rebuilt his life by opening shelters for homeless youth, naming the first one Casa di Sofia. And every night, as he watched the children laugh under the lights, he remembered the girl who gave him back his heart. Dizzy moral of the story. Even the smallest act of kindness can melt the hardest heart and turn darkness into light.